The communication protocols flickered to life with an unusual signature. Most transmissions from Earth carried a predictable bureaucratic precision, but this one hummed with an entirely different energy. Admiral Kreltax adjusted the sensory filters on his command chair, mandibles clicking with a mixture of curiosity and mild irritation. The Varinian flagship's communication systems were designed to process thousands of interstellar dialogues simultaneously, but this particular transmission demanded his personal attention. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, Earth's lead diplomatic liaison, appeared on the screen with a smile that suggested she knew something the Admiral did not. Behind her, a complex array of screens and holographic interfaces created a backdrop that looked more like an advanced research laboratory than a standard communication center. "We have a unique proposal," she began, her voice calm and measured. "Our young strategic development program would like to demonstrate an experimental simulation protocol." Kreltax's secondary neural cluster processed the request, finding it was technically within diplomatic exchange parameters, yet something felt different. The Varinian diplomatic database contained extensive files on human communication strategies, but this felt like uncharted territory. A soft mechanical whirring preceded the appearance of Marcus Chen. The child sat surrounded by an intricate network of holographic displays, neural interface bands wrapped delicately around his temples. His workspace resembled a living, breathing ecosystem of technology, cables snaking like neural pathways, screens pulsing with dynamic information streams that would make most seasoned strategists dizzy. Marcus wore a simple gray jumpsuit with subtle computational threading, far removed from the ornate diplomatic attire the Varinians expected. His eyes, however, held something extraordinary, a combination of childlike wonder and an intensity that seemed to look beyond the immediate visual field. "Good morning," Marcus said, his voice a perfect blend of enthusiasm and focus. "I'm ready to begin the interstellar strategic simulation." Dr. Rodriguez remained in the background, her posture suggesting both pride and scientific detachment. To the Varinian observers, her presence was a carefully calculated element of the presentation. The simulation interface began to materialize, not as a crude technological representation, but as a living, breathing holographic environment. Star systems expanded and contracted with breath-like fluidity. Planetary defenses shifted like organic mechanisms, each movement suggesting layers of complex potential. Admiral Kreltax recognized the sophisticated nature of the system immediately. This was no simple game or diplomatic gesture. This was something fundamentally different. His communication officer, a veteran of countless first contact scenarios, leaned closer to the Admiral and whispered, "Sir, our initial analysis suggests this is unlike anything we've encountered before." Marcus adjusted something on his interface, and the entire holographic environment seemed to respond to his touch, not as a machine, but as a collaborative intelligence. The child's fingers danced across controls with a grace that suggested he was doing much more than simply operating a machine. "Shall we begin?" Marcus asked, a smile playing at the corner of his mouth. The game was about to change everything. The simulator was far more than a mere technological interface. Developed through a collaborative project involving child psychologists, quantum computational experts, and retired military strategists, it represented the cutting edge of human cognitive training. Marcus's fingers moved with a musician's precision, each touch creating ripples of possibility across the holographic universe. To the Varinian observers, what appeared to be a simple game was actually a complex neural mapping of strategic potential. The system wasn't just tracking Marcus's decisions, it was learning from them, adapting in real time to his unique cognitive approach. Dr. Rodriguez monitored the transmission from a secondary station, her expression a blend of professional curiosity and maternal pride. The simulator represented years of research into human cognitive plasticity, a project that had remained classified until this moment of diplomatic revelation. Initial system synchronization complete, a soft voice announced through the communication interface. The voice belonged to an advanced artificial intelligence, specifically designed to facilitate the simulation. its tone carefully modulated to provide optimal cognitive support. The holographic environment began to shift. Star systems materialized with breathtaking complexity. Each celestial body represented not just as a point of light, but as a dynamic system of potential interactions. Marcus moved through these environments with an intuition that defied conventional strategic thinking. Where a traditional military commander might see a straightforward tactical problem, Marcus perceived a living, breathing ecosystem of possibilities. He didn't just respond to challenges. He anticipated them, his mind working several layers beyond the immediate visual representation. The Varinian analysis team watched in growing astonishment. Their own strategic simulations relied on predictive algorithms and established tactical doctrines. Marcus's approach was something entirely different, a fluid, almost organic method of problem-solving that seemed to rewrite the very rules of strategic engagement. A junior Varinian analyst leaned closer to Admiral Kreltax, her translator implant working overtime. "Sir," she whispered, "he's not just playing the simulation. He's collaborating with it." Indeed, Marcus seemed to be in a state of profound communication with the system. His neural interface bands pulsed with soft blue light, suggesting a deep cognitive connection that went far beyond standard human-machine interactions. Each decision appeared to emerge from a place of intuitive understanding rather than calculated strategy. The simulation presented increasingly complex scenarios: interstellar conflicts, resource management challenges, diplomatic negotiations that would challenge the most experienced strategists. Marcus navigated these with a combination of creativity and systemic thinking that seemed to defy conventional logic. Dr. Rodriguez made a subtle gesture, and the simulation's complexity increased exponentially. Most training systems would have overwhelmed a child, but Marcus seemed to thrive on the increasing complexity. His cognitive processes appeared to expand, finding solutions that were simultaneously elegant and unexpected. The Varinian observers began to understand something profound. This was not just a demonstration of individual potential. This was a window into a fundamentally different approach to understanding conflict, cooperation, and strategic thinking. Marcus paused for a moment, taking a sip of what appeared to be a fruit drink, his concentration unbroken. To him, this was more than a test or a game. This was pure joy, a complex puzzle waiting to be understood. The universe of the simulation continued to pulse and breathe around him, a living testament to human potential. The simulation entered a phase that would redefine the Varinian understanding of strategic thinking. Each movement Marcus made seemed to emerge from a realm beyond conventional tactical reasoning, a place where intuition and systemic understanding converged in breathtaking harmony. Admiral Kreltax watched as the holographic display transformed. What had initially appeared as a simple strategic exercise now revealed itself as a multidimensional exploration of conflict resolution. Marcus didn't just respond to challenges. He anticipated them with a fluidity that suggested he was seeing multiple potential futures simultaneously. Dr. Rodriguez adjusted a subtle control, introducing what would have been an impossible scenario for most strategic systems. The simulation generated a complex interstellar conflict with 17 simultaneous variables: diplomatic tensions, resource scarcity, technological disparities, cultural misunderstandings, and potential catastrophic outcomes. Most strategic AIs would have frozen. Military commanders would have defaulted to aggressive defensive protocols. Marcus, however, began to weave a solution that was nothing short of miraculous. His approach defied every conventional military doctrine the Varinians understood. Where a traditional commander might see a binary choice between conflict and surrender, Marcus perceived a spectrum of possibilities. He didn't just avoid potential disasters. He transformed them into opportunities for collaborative resolution. The Varinian tactical analysis team struggled to categorize what they were witnessing. Their most advanced predictive models couldn't map the child's decision-making process. Marcus was creating solutions that emerged from a holistic understanding of systemic interactions, solutions that seemed to generate value for all parties involved. Observe the lateral cognitive mapping. murmured Dr. Rodriguez to her colleagues. The neural interface was capturing something extraordinary, a thought process that didn't move linearly, but expanded like a living network of possibilities. Marcus manipulated the holographic interfaces with an artist's touch. Star systems danced around his fingers, diplomatic tensions dissolved, and resource conflicts transformed into collaborative opportunities. It was less like solving a problem, and more like composing a complex musical piece, each decision a note that resonated with the entire cosmic symphony. The Varinian observers noticed something remarkable. Marcus wasn't just playing the simulation. He was engaging in a deep dialogue with the underlying systems. His cognitive approach suggested that conflict was not a problem to be solved, but a complex interaction to be understood and harmonized. A senior Varinian strategist leaned closer to Admiral Kreltax, her translator implant working overtime to capture the nuance of her observation. "This is not strategy," she whispered. "This is something else entirely." The simulation continued to evolve, becoming increasingly complex. Each challenge Marcus encountered was met not with resistance, but with a creative reimagining of potential outcomes. He was demonstrating a fundamental truth about problem-solving, that the most powerful solutions emerge from understanding, not confrontation. Dr. Rodriguez allowed herself a subtle smile. This was more than a demonstration. This was a glimpse into the future of human cognitive potential, a future where complexity was not a challenge to be overcome, but an opportunity to be explored. Marcus took a momentary break, reaching for a glass of water. To him, this was simply an interesting puzzle, a cosmic game that brought him pure joy. He had no concept of the profound diplomatic revolution he was creating with each subtle movement of his hands. The holographic universe continued to pulse and breathe around him, a living testament to the extraordinary potential of human imagination. As Marcus resumed, the Varinian team was no longer merely observing. They were entranced. The simulation had grown more chaotic, the stakes higher, but Marcus's presence within it remained unwavering. The complexity of the scenarios didn't daunt him. Rather, it seemed to invite a deeper response, a subtle but profound resonance between his mind and the simulation itself. "Ease, not just analyzing," Kreltax said slowly, the words coming out as if he were trying to grasp something intangible. "Ease becoming the system." Marcus's fingers traced an unseen path through the holographic web of stars and strategies, each movement an instinctual flow rather than a deliberate choice. But within those fluid motions lay the unspoken understanding that Marcus had surpassed the need for brute force solutions. He had transformed the very concept of strategic thinking into something organic, something that existed in the interplay of perspectives and the flow of shared knowledge. As the simulation grew increasingly complex, Dr. Rodriguez's interface picked up something that hadn't been present before, a new layer of coherence, a deeper pattern emerging from Marcus's approach. A connection between diplomatic factions that had never been possible before, a synthesis of technological discrepancies into shared innovations, and even a cultural reconciliation between groups who had long been at odds. Kreltax stood up, his usually stoic expression breaking into something resembling awe. This is beyond anything we have ever conceived. His decisions, they aren't just tactical. They transcend even our most advanced thought processes. The Admiral's voice was tight with realization. We thought we understood war, strategy, diplomacy. But what we are witnessing is a mind that sees beyond the binary. He's seeing unity where we see division, harmony where we see only chaos. Dr. Rodriguez adjusted the parameters to simulate a potentially devastating attack on one of the planetary systems. Within moments, Marcus responded. Not with weapons, not with tactics, but with a proposal, an invitation to the opposing force to share knowledge, to collaborate on the very technology that was being used against them. The attacking fleet, having nothing to lose, paused, and to the astonishment of the Varinian strategists, sent a message. "We accept your offer." Kreltax looked at his team, the realization slowly settling in. We've been focusing on domination. And in doing so, we've overlooked the potential for cooperation. Marcus, this human child, has uncovered something we could never have imagined. A new way of seeing the universe. Marcus paused in his movements, as if sensing the shift in the room. He looked up at the Vorinians, his innocent gaze somehow piercing through their highly advanced forms, and simply said, "It's not about winning. It's about understanding." The weight of those words hung in the air, resonating with a truth that echoed through the hearts of every Vorinian present. Their entire paradigm, one built on power and dominance, was beginning to fracture. What they thought was the pinnacle of strategic intelligence was, in reality, a mere shadow of the deeper harmony that Marcus had unlocked. Admiral Kreltax knew that the future of their civilization would never be the same. They had been given a glimpse into the next stage of evolution, and it was not through conquest or technology alone, but through empathy, understanding, and the capacity to see all sides of a conflict. This was the future. This was the gift of humanity. The holographic stars dimmed, and Marcus, unaware of the seismic shift he had set in motion, turned back to the simulation with a quiet, contented smile. The game, in his mind, was simply one more puzzle. But for the Vorinians, it was the doorway to an entirely new realm of possibility. The simulation entered a realm beyond conventional understanding. Marcus was no longer simply solving problems. He was fundamentally reimagining the very concept of conflict and resolution. Admiral Kreltax watched as the holographic displays began to shift in ways that defied the Vorinian understanding of strategic thinking. What had initially appeared as a military simulation revealed itself as something far more profound, a living, breathing exploration of systemic intelligence. Dr. Elena Rodriguez adjusted a series of complex neural interface controls. Each movement revealed another layer of Marcus's extraordinary cognitive approach. The child wasn't just processing information. He was creating entire ecosystems of potential solutions that seemed to breathe and evolve in real time. The Vorinian tactical analysis team found themselves in uncharted territory. Their most advanced predictive models collapsed when confronted with Marcus's approach. He didn't see challenges as linear problems to be solved, but as dynamic, interconnected systems waiting to be understood. In one particularly complex scenario, the simulation presented a multi-system resource conflict that would typically result in prolonged interstellar tension. Most strategic approaches would involve complex negotiation, potential military posturing, or resource redistribution. Marcus saw something entirely different. His fingers danced across the holographic interface, revealing solution pathways that seemed to emerge from a place beyond traditional strategic thinking. He didn't just resolve the conflict. He transformed it into an opportunity for collaborative growth that benefited all parties involved. "Observe the cognitive mapping," Dr. Rodriguez murmured to her colleagues. The neural interface captured something extraordinary, a thought process that expanded like a living network, finding connections where others saw only barriers. The Vorinian observers noticed a fundamental difference in approach. Where their strategic systems sought to minimize loss, Marcus's method created value. Each challenge became an opportunity for mutual understanding. Each potential conflict a chance for collaborative transformation. A senior Vorinian psychologist leaned closer to her colleagues, her specialized sensory implants working to capture the nuanced cognitive patterns. "This is not just problem-solving," she whispered. "This is a complete reimagining of systemic intelligence." Marcus seemed to perceive the simulation as a living entity. His approach was less about winning or losing and more about understanding the intricate dance of potential outcomes. Star systems shifted around his touch, diplomatic tensions dissolved, and resource conflicts transformed into opportunities for mutual growth. The holographic universe responded to his intuition like a complex musical instrument. Each decision was a note that resonated through the entire system, creating harmony where others would have found only discord. Dr. Rodriguez allowed herself a subtle smile. This was more than a demonstration of individual potential. This was a glimpse into a fundamentally different approach to understanding complexity, conflict, and collective intelligence. Sarah Chen, Marcus's mother, watched with a calm pride that spoke volumes about human approaches to child development. This wasn't an exceptional outlier, but a carefully nurtured approach to human potential. Marcus took a momentary break, reaching for a glass of water, completely unaware of the profound diplomatic revolution he was creating. To him, this was simply an interesting puzzle, a cosmic game that brought him pure joy. The holographic universe continued to pulse and breathe around him, a living testament to the extraordinary potential of human imagination and collaborative intelligence. The implications of Marcus's simulation cascaded through the Varinian leadership like a quantum wave of unprecedented potential. This was no longer about a child's game or a simple diplomatic exchange. This was a fundamental reimagining of intelligent species' approach to complexity. Admiral Kreltax convened an emergency strategic council aboard the flagship. The transmission room buzzed with a tension that defied standard diplomatic protocols. Senior strategists, each with centuries of interstellar experience, found themselves confronting a reality that challenged everything they understood about cognitive development and strategic thinking. Dr. Rodriguez's presentation revealed layers of human educational philosophy that left the Varinian leadership stunned. This wasn't an isolated incident of individual brilliance. It was a systematic approach to cultivating adaptive intelligence from childhood, a method of raising entire generations of thinkers who could transform challenges into opportunities. The simulation continued to unfold, revealing increasingly complex scenarios that would have paralyzed traditional strategic systems. Marcus moved through these challenges with a fluidity that suggested he was not just solving problems, but conversing with the very fabric of systemic complexity. What we are witnessing, Dr. Rodriguez explained, her voice calm and measured, is not just an individual's capability. This is a glimpse into how humans cultivate cognitive potential. The Varinian analysts struggled to categorize what they were seeing. Their own educational systems focused on specialized training, rigid hierarchical learning, and predictable career trajectories. Humans, by contrast, were creating learning environments that transformed education into a dynamic, adaptive process. Marcus's approach demonstrated something profound. He didn't just process information. He created entire ecosystems of potential solutions. Each challenge was an opportunity for collaborative reimagining, each conflict a chance to discover hidden pathways of mutual understanding. A senior Varinian psychologist activated a specialized analysis interface. The neural mapping of Marcus's cognitive processes revealed a network of thinking that was nothing short of revolutionary. It wasn't linear. It wasn't hierarchical. It was alive, a living, breathing intelligence that expanded and contracted with each new piece of information. The simulation introduced scenarios of increasing complexity, interstellar resource conflicts, multi-species diplomatic challenges, technological integration problems that would typically require decades of negotiation. Marcus navigated these with an intuition that seemed to transcend traditional strategic thinking. Where the Varinian systems would have calculated risks and potential losses, Marcus found collaborative solutions that created value for all parties. Star systems danced around his intuitive touch, diplomatic tensions dissolved, and seemingly insurmountable challenges transformed into opportunities for mutual growth. Dr. Rodriguez's presentation included context that made the Varinian leadership truly understand the depth of human potential. This wasn't about Marcus being a prodigy. This was about a species that had fundamentally reimagined the process of learning, thinking, and problem-solving. The educational philosophy behind Marcus's abilities was both simple and profound. Humans didn't just teach facts. They cultivated adaptive intelligence. They created learning environments that transformed children into living systems of collaborative potential. Sarah Chen, Marcus's mother, watched with a calm pride that spoke volumes. To her, this was not extraordinary. This was simply how humans approached the development of their children's potential. Marcus himself remained blissfully unaware of the cosmic implications of his simulation. To him, this was a fascinating puzzle, a complex, beautiful game that brought him pure joy. The holographic universe continued to pulse around him, a living testament to the extraordinary potential of human imagination, collaborative intelligence, and the boundless nature of cognitive exploration. The diplomatic chambers of the Varinian stellar imperium had witnessed countless first contact scenarios, but nothing could have prepared them for the fundamental shift Marcus Chen was creating. Admiral Krultak stood before the Grand Diplomatic Council, his neural implants struggling to process the full implications of what they had witnessed. The transmission of Marcus's simulation was no longer just a curiosity. It was a catalyst that would reshape their entire understanding of intelligent species. Dr. Rodriguez's presentation cut through millennia of Varinian diplomatic protocols like a quantum blade. She wasn't presenting a defense or making an argument. She was revealing a fundamental truth about human potential that challenged everything the Varinian civilization understood about intelligence, cooperation, and systemic thinking. The council chamber fell into a profound silence. Holographic displays continued to replay key moments from Marcus's simulation, moments that demonstrated an approach to problem-solving so revolutionary that it defied traditional categorization. "This is not about military potential," Dr. Rodriguez explained, her voice calm and precise. "This is about a fundamental approach to understanding complexity." Varinian diplomatic historians would later mark this moment as a turning point in interstellar relations. The child simulation had done what centuries of diplomatic negotiations could not. It had created a genuine bridge of understanding between two fundamentally different civilizations. The neural analysis of Marcus's cognitive approach revealed something extraordinary. Where Varinian strategic thinking saw boundaries and limitations, Marcus perceived interconnected possibilities. Each challenge was an opportunity, each conflict a chance for collaborative transformation. Senior strategists reviewed the simulation data repeatedly. They discovered something profoundly unsettling. Humans were not developing individuals, but entire ecosystems of adaptive intelligence. Their educational systems, their approach to cognitive development, were fundamentally different from any known galactic civilization. A senior diplomatic advisor leaned closer to Admiral Krultak, her translator implant working overtime to capture the nuance of her observation. "This changes everything," she whispered. The Admiral could only nod in agreement. The simulation had revealed more than a child's potential. It had demonstrated a species-wide approach to intelligence that was living, dynamic, and fundamentally collaborative. Humans didn't just solve problems. They transformed the very nature of those problems. Dr. Rodriguez's presentation included context that made the depth of human potential clear. This wasn't about individual achievement. This was about a collective approach to understanding and navigating complexity. The Varinian leadership began to understand that they were witnessing something far more significant than a simple diplomatic exchange. This was a fundamental reimagining of what intelligent communication could be. Sarah Chen, Marcus's mother, watched the proceedings with a calm that spoke volumes. To her, this was not extraordinary. This was simply how humans approached potential, with curiosity, creativity, and a fundamental belief in collaborative intelligence. Marcus himself remained blissfully unaware of the cosmic diplomatic revolution he was creating. To him, this was simply an interesting puzzle, a complex, beautiful game that brought him pure joy. The holographic displays continued to pulse with the potential of human imagination, a living testament to a species that saw no boundaries between play, learning, and profound cosmic understanding. The universe of possibility continued to unfold around Marcus Chen, a testament to the extraordinary potential of human imagination. Admiral Krultak stood in the transmission chamber, his entire understanding of intelligent life fundamentally transformed. The simulation had ended, but its implications would resonate through Varinian civilization for generations to come. What had begun as a simple diplomatic exchange had become a profound revelation about the nature of intelligence, potential, and collaborative thinking. Dr. Elena Rodriguez carefully archived the transmission data, knowing full well that this moment would be studied by multiple generations of researchers, diplomats, and cognitive scientists. The neural mapping of Marcus's approach represented more than just an individual's capabilities. It was a window into an entirely new way of understanding complex systems. The Varinian Stellar Imperium's diplomatic archives would forever mark this as a pivotal moment of first contact. Not through massive ships or technological displays, but through the intuitive problem-solving of a single child. Marcus, completely unaware of the cosmic implications of his actions, simply removed his neural interface and looked up at his mother. "Can we get ice cream?" he asked, his voice a perfect blend of childlike excitement and profound intelligence. Sarah Chen smiled, a knowing look passing between her and Dr. Rodriguez. This was the essence of human potential, the ability to transform the most complex challenges into moments of simple, joyful discovery. The Varinian analysis teams continued to process the simulation data, each review revealing new layers of complexity. They discovered something profound. Marcus hadn't just solved problems. He had demonstrated a fundamental approach to understanding that saw challenges as opportunities for collaborative transformation. Senior Varinian strategists began to reimagine their entire approach to education, diplomacy, and strategic thinking. The simulation had revealed a truth that would reshape their civilization. Intelligence was not about rigid problem-solving, but about adaptive, collaborative potential. Dr. Rodriguez's final report was deceptively simple. It wasn't about Marcus's individual brilliance, but about a species-wide approach to cognitive development that transformed every challenge into an opportunity for growth. The diplomatic implications cascaded across multiple star systems. Humans were not just another species to be categorized or understood. They were a dynamic, adaptive intelligence that could fundamentally transform any challenge they encountered. Admiral Kreltax made a decision that would change Varinian diplomatic history forever. They would not approach humans with traditional diplomatic protocols. They would approach them with genuine curiosity, with an openness to learning, with a recognition of a fundamentally different approach to intelligence. Marcus finished his conversation about ice cream and turned back to his parents, his mind already dancing with new possibilities. To him, the universe was an endless puzzle waiting to be understood, a complex, beautiful game of infinite potential. The holographic displays slowly faded, but the potential they had revealed continued to resonate. This was more than a moment of first contact. This was a glimpse into a future where intelligence knew no boundaries, where every challenge was an opportunity, and where the most profound discoveries could emerge from the simplest moments of childlike wonder. In the vast theater of galactic potential, humanity had just revealed its most unexpected strength, the ability to transform complexity into possibility, conflict into collaboration, and imagination into reality.